Rev Mel's ninja skills will kick your ass. She will love you long time. Welcome back.
The people that she has chosen as her mentors are people that I respect with no ifs, ands, or buts, because they are very knowledgeable and they don't say that they know it all. They're always learning. That's the thing. As a newbie, as someone who's been in the lifestyle for 20 years, you're always learning, because it's all about communication. Who cares if you can totally throw a flogger completely correctly in the beginning, as long as you're communicating with somebody and saying, look, I can't do this. Can you teach me? And can I learn? Like you said, an Orthodox Jew, that you are a student. I think that is absolutely fabulous. I've never heard anybody that was new in the lifestyle say, I am not going to say whether or not I'm a switch and dom top, anything like that. I'm just a student. It's very important. Very.
Very important.
Don't break your toy.
Yeah,
that's what Boogie always says. Don't break your toy.
UJ or Jewy. Same question. And then
I wouldn't say I have any specific mentor. I try to talk with really as many people as possible about all aspects of BDSM, and I guess the biggest thing that I look for is someone who is willing to both listen and to share their experience, as well as someone who I kind of have an understanding of and who has an understanding of me. So for the most part, I can't really pick anyone in particular, but there's quite a few people, just about everyone I talk to I can learn something from. So I guess everyone's my mentor.
That's great.
The easy way out.
I did want to say something that I left off the list, and I'm like, wait a minute. I go to you all the time for mentoring. I called you like 2 weeks ago. What did I do? Fuck.
And then you're breathing afterwards.
Yeah, and then I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I just need some validation now. But no, your insights. The number one thing that I teach people is what I heard from your voice and your advice, which is use your voice, use your voice, use your voice, and that is probably the greatest piece of wisdom that I have had so far in being a dominant. In where you want to guide a submissive, that has been such, the things that I've received from you personally, which I guess leads into that it's not just male mentors, that the women in this lifestyle have incredible things to teach, and I've learned an exceptional amount of you, and I just wanted to reiterate that you were one of my mentors.
I even started out, when I started out in the BDSM lifestyle with two mentors. You guys are really fortunate, because there are so many different types of people in the lifestyle now that there was not when I first started. There was no really strong female dominant role models, 8-9 years ago. And it was really difficult, because when I was originally went to the Lear, it was mostly male dominance. I went to two people and asked if they would be my mentors. And I embarrass them every time I say this. My two mentors were Don Sir and Colin Sir. And they taught me so much, and they had a lot of patience. As going to someone, make sure you find someone that has a lot of patience and that really knows this lifestyle. Really, not just how to beat the shit out of somebody, but how to not to forget the human factor that we are dealing with. It's so important to get mentors, and it's so important if you're in the chat room, to start mentoring people, because the stronger we are as a community, and the better that we are going to do our job, and the less shitty press we're going to get, because we've had to end up somebody in a steel drum. This is ridiculous. The only time that we're ever talked about in the press is something negative. And that's what the Rev Mel Show is all about. It is about bringing a community together and having topics and talking about these things. Before we end the show, I want to ask you guys a really quick question. I'm going to start out with Boogie. Has any book or movie influenced you in getting into BDSM?
Surprisingly, yes. And it's funny because it's not... a lot of people have seen the movie The Secretary, and that's kind of like a different aspect of fetish and BDSM, and and it's very fictional and
But very
dramatic.
DS.
But yeah, and there was definitely a lot going on. So right before I went to Threshold and then the Lair, because of someone who brought me in, I saw that movie, and it was like, oh, okay, that's interesting, because you see what you've done. I've done a lot of those things, and didn't know what they were. And then Jay Wiseman's SM 101 is just a fantastic first book, because it explains a lot, not just techniques, and not just safety, but also things about relationship and things like that. There's a ton of, there's screw the roses, give me the thorns. There's a ton
Screw
of
the thorns.
screw the thorns. Put them in your cock, which is CBT. It's a whole nother fetish.
Cotton ball
But,
torture.
yeah, there's a ton of fantastic literature out there.
Another one that's actually good for people that are brand new in the lifestyle, trying to figure out whether they're top or bottom, are the books called
The top.
Top and Bottom.
Yep.
You read both of them, whether or not you're a top or a bottom. They are awesome books. They have a lot of information in them. And I think for a new person within the lifestyle, that Screw the Roses, Send Me the Thorns is one of the best all-encompassing books.
Yes.
It really is.
Speaking of books and topics and people that write books, Jay Wiseman and I have been talking, and he's going to be coming on the show, and we're going to be doing BDSM and law. We also have another major attorney that is on human rights that's coming in, and he's also in the BDSM community. He's going to be on the show with Jay. So I'm really, really excited about that. And this will be in March. So it's going to be an awesome show, but Jay said he'd love to come on. And, what books or movies have influenced you?
Honestly, nothing media-wise influenced me. I've always been a, in it kind of person, like Lair. I've always been in it. I've never gone to the internet. I've just recently have started to go to the internet. It was pretty much just clubs and being exposed to it that way, and also with my own personal emotions and mental disabilities have also brought me here.
Wonderful. Well, I don't know the
You know the works. Go to the
So
inside.
happy about your mental disabilities.
We're so glad you're
That is
demented and you came into the community.
You are welcome among us.
Julie, same question.
Probably about 10 years of porn, and
Seriously.
that's about it. I've been told many times to get Screw the Roses, Send Me the Thorns, and I never did. And that's one I'm
No, you're gonna
definitely going to get. But one I'm really interested in getting is, I believe it's called When Someone You Love Is Kinky.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
The porn does
That-
help, though.
Yeah, no, being exposed to it that way, it's like, wow, that really turns me on. I think I want to try that.
School, whippedass.com. Oh, man. There's
What we need to do is we need to develop a book exchange in our community.
I think that Kane was speaking about doing some kind of a discussion group at the House of Kane based on that. Like they'd be like the book of the month. Everyone would read
I
it.
think that's wonderful.
Oprah's
Whatever.
Book of
Yeah. The Kane's
wasn't
book of the month.
Slavecraft supposed
But he
to be the
mentioned
first
something.
one?
No,
about
it
that
would
the
be
other
more
day
like
at the House of
Kane's Book of the
Yeah,
Month.
Kane's
Right.
book of the
It would be
Something
the
like
kinky
that.
book of the month. I
Kane-
really
yeah,
like
kinky
that.
book of the
month.
Yeah,
idea.
Well, everyone would read it on their own, and then they'd gather and they'd discuss it. So he was kind of.
that sounds like a really good idea. I know that Slavecraft,
Yeah.
that the is it Guy Baldwin?
Yeah, Guy Baldwin.
Guy
wrote
Baldwin was one of the authors of that book, and there was a discussion at the House of Kane. So keep your eyes peeled
Yeah.
for all that kind of stuff, because you actually can, as a newbie, go to the House of Kane if you're 18 and
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
So that's a really good place to go to get a lot of information, and that's in Chatsworth or Canoga Park.
Canoga Park.
Canoga Park. So
And
if you need any of that information, contact the Rev Mel Show, and we will give that to you.
Information is the key. To this. So, Lady Crissy.
Let's see. I would have to agree. Like the porn. I'm very visual. I will say that. I'm a very visual person, and that sort of perpetuated. In relationships, and vanilla relationships got a little bit, exciting, I suppose. And then it was through someone else's curiosity that actually brought this to my attention, that there was actually an acronym for it, BDSM. So I would spend a lot of time on Wikipedia, just trying to really, isolate. Yeah.
Wikipedia, motherfucker.
What I'd like is
It's out there,
everybody,
man. I'm telling you.
all of us
Who
together.
was talking about that?
Let's break that up. What does BDSM mean? Remember? Everybody go.
Bondage,
discipline,
Dominant
masochism.
Well, I mean, in my industry or work, it's all about acronyms. And if you don't have something to go and research things on, it's very difficult to decipher what that stuff is. You can always make stuff up, I suppose.
Well, TSR has one. It's called TSR.
Yeah, and where I come from, it's TRS. So it's a different thing altogether.
Where I come, it's Tourette's.
What?
I look, fuck you, shit, fuck you.
But
Sorry.
But again, I think just someone else's curiosity is what really got me more hyper focused on it and researching it for myself. So.
Well, I'm embarrassed on how I got curious about it. The beauty series.
Beauty series.
Anne Rice's beauty series.
Oh, really?
It made me. I read that there's 3 books.
All the
in a
romance
volume.
novels. Is that what that is?
This is a
Anne
romance
Rice.
novel.
She wrote Interview with a Vampire.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is a series of 3 books.
She read sexy stuff.
I read them in one fucking weekend. Did not leave the bed. I think I came about 50 times.
I was going to say, you stayed in.
I stayed in a whole weekend.
Well, it was a rainy weekend, yeah.
But, I think we're coming to the end of our show. No. I think we'd love to have, another newbie show about 6
Yeah.
months. Oh, I think we got a phone call. Why don't we take it if it's a real quick one? Let me answer it. Oop.
When are we?
Did they hang up?
I have a quick question then.
Sure.
When are we not newbies anymore?
Yeah, we didn't discuss it. Oh, here we go.
Well,
I'm back.
I think we're
Let's
gonna
ask this person who's calling.
Hello, Rev Mel. May I help you?
Okay, forget my reception and cut out. I know you're leaving it, Mom. It's me. I have to say, I read the fucking beauty books in 3 days, all in one sitting, one book right after the other. You're not the only one. I'm 13 years old. I hit puberty reading those books.
I agree with you,
I gotta read those
sweetheart.
books
I love
now.
you. We can
Call me later, okay? Call me
we
later.
can role play it.
I'll
Bye
be
bye.
late. Later.
Bye.
Or call me
Okay,
later.
Newbie
let's do
question.
this really quickly because
Yeah.
we'll take another 5 minutes because Okay, when are we not newbies anymore?